The contents of this video is absolutely my opinion, but it's opinion largely based on fact and dimensions and what have you. But if you decide that it's not important to you, then fine, that's no problem. I'm just going to explain why I think the Pearce grip extension is a waste, particularly on the P2000sk, because that's what I can. That's what I have in front of me. The point of a subcompact gun is to fit as many rounds in as small of a package as possible, and to allow somebody to be able to conceal it. The P2000sk accomplishes this by being a double stack pistol that staggers the rounds inside the magazine to cut down on the overall height. And in my opinion, it does it very well. For example, a P2000sk is about 4.61 inches tall with this flat floor plate, and that's the number that is listed on HK's website. To compare it to something of similar capacity, an XD subcompact in the same caliber in 40 Smith & Wesson is 4.75 inches. So 0.14 inches of difference between the two, even though they have the same capacity. So logic would tell you that that makes the P2000sk more efficient in storing ammunition. But there are sometimes you can get a P2000sk with an extended floor plate on the bottom of this magazine. When I received mine, I got 2 of those, and I promptly traded those away to get the flat floor plate, and I'll try to explain why. It just comes down to what I consider to be wasted space. I bought this gun. I'd prefer it to be as small as possible while not sacrificing magazine capacity. And in the case of the SK, you see the flat floor plate. Now the extended floor plate, which you see there in front of you on the magazine, you can see how much material it adds to the bottom of the magazine. You see the seam right along there. Above that is where the flat floor plate is. They just add that little piece of, I almost want to call it rubber because it bends quite a bit. But they add that material to the bottom of it to make it the extended floor plate. The problem is, when you add that length to the gun, as you can see there, it goes pretty far down, all the way down to here. And the actual dimension difference from this point, that line right there, and then the length perpendicular to that, which is what's important, you come to the bottom of this and it's an added 3/8 of an inch difference in height between this floor plate and this floor plate. And it does nothing for you other than to make the gun more comfortable. And only to some people. But this comes down to my personal opinion about subcompacts. I do not think they are made to be comfortable. I can't tell you how many times I've been, say you've been at a gun show, you've been at a gun store, or you've been trying to help somebody buy their first concealed carry piece. They'll pick something up like this pistol, and immediately they might hold it and say the magazine's not in it, there's no place for this pinky to go. And immediately they'll say, I don't want this gun, it's not comfortable to hold. But you kind of have to point out to them that this is not a gun that you would use exclusively at a range. This is not a gun that you will be shooting 300 rounds with at a competition out of pleasure. It's a gun that you are going to use to carry and try to hide, and then use it in a self-defense situation. I get lucky because I can fit all 3 of my fingers kind of on the subcompact grip with the magazine in. This is the flat floor plate, obviously. With that magazine in, I can fit all these fingers on there. But oftentimes I have to show to friends, family, whatever, have to show them that it's not all that bad to take this pinky off and tuck it underneath the gun. And in fact, what you can do is you can make this pinky into your extended floor plate. And you see right there how it kind of rests in a position. It's kind of hard for me to reach around the camera, but you can kind of use that pinky as the extended floor plate. And then you can easily get 10 rounds off holding it with the pinky off. And let's say you were using it in a self-defense situation. I can pretty much guarantee you, I have never been in a circumstance like that, but I can pretty much guarantee you you're not going to really be worried about the comfort of your pinky if that situation happens. But this is where the Pearce grip extension comes in. I see these on Glocks all the time, and we've a couple times on HK Pro we've had somebody come on and ask or speak about modifying the Glock ones to fit on the P2000sk, and they fit. After little modifications, they add an extra 1/8 of an inch, that's what Paul B said, to the bottom of the extended floor plate. Now keep in mind the extended floor plate already adds like 3/8 of an inch to the SK, and then the Pearce grip extension adds another 1/8 of an inch. Meanwhile, you haven't changed the magazine capacity of the P2000sk at all. But if you were to purchase a USP compact or P2000 magazine with a flat floor plate, I'm going to show you the difference between all that. And you see how relatively short that is, even if you had that on a P2000 or USP compact. That's fairly short for a pistol. I did all kinds of measurements, and this is what I came up with. Starting from, fold that to make it easier to see. Actually made it more difficult to see. Measuring from the top of this page all the way up here, I put the P2000sk on it and measured all kinds of different lengths. This is the length for the P2000sk with a flat floor plate. Flat floor plate. This line is the dimension of the P2000sk with the extended floor plate. This line, one right beneath it, is the dimension for the P2000sk with Paul B's measured Pearce grip extension floor plate. Below that line, that's the dimension of the height of a P2000sk with a USP compact / P2000 magazine with a flat floor plate. So between here and here, you can probably barely even see that difference in height on the video. You can have plus three rounds of capacity at this one, or you can have the standard capacity of this one. Now I would argue that if this dimension is not that big to you, that 1/8 of an inch is not that big of a deal to you, then why would you balk there and not go the further 1/16 of an inch to get an extra 3 rounds? But this is why I think the Pearce grip extension is pretty useless. Of course, it's my opinion that the extended floor plate itself is useless because it kills the dimensions of the SK. I mean, you see how much of a difference there is there. But then to further that with no benefit to the capacity of the gun is kind of going against what the whole reason you would buy a subcompact for anyway. I mean, you see these stars at the side. This is the height of the XD subcompact. This is the height of a Springfield EMP, and the star below that is the height of a P239. So by adding the extended floor plate or adding the Pearce grip extension, you have essentially turned your double stack subcompact pistol into the height of a single stack subcompact pistol. And I think that's a waste. I think you might as well just add the full magazine down here and get yourself more rounds. For comparison, the EMP holds 8 + 1 rounds of 40, I believe, and the P239 holds, I think, 7 + 1 rounds of 40. So you're still getting more efficient packaging in the P2000sk, so there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's kind of hampering the whole reason you buy that gun in the first place. And I bet that pretty much applies to Glocks as well. Anything with the Pearce grip extension, I don't get it if you're going to use the gun for concealed carry. If you're going to use it for range fun, if you're going to use it for home defense or whatever, okay, that's fine. But I still think you'd be better off buying the higher capacity mags in any one of those situations, especially the 10 rounders. Remember, the 10 rounders cost like $7, $8, $10, something like that, where these cost like 40. And the subcompact mags cost 40 also. So financially, I don't think it makes sense. Dimensionally, if that's a word, it doesn't make sense. And that's my personal opinion. Have a good weekend.